Welcome back. I'm playing Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormground. I think this will probably be the last episode of this series unless more content gets added to this game in the future. I was playing around looking to see what texts we had, and between the three campaigns I pretty much have a complete collection of the Jade, the Mad Visions, and the Fireside Laments. So I'm just going to sit back and listen to all the audio here. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. Probably, I would think it's probably going to be 20-30 minutes worth of listening here. I unfortunately still don't have all the books for the characters for the Nurgle guys, so I'll play the incomplete series that I have, and like I said, if they add more to the game, that encourages me to go back and play around a little bit more. Maybe I'll do that, but as of now I feel like I got a pretty complete playthrough of most of the maps, if not all of them. Played around with all the characters, have multiple ones maxed out, seen what most of the cards are. Definitely would have done some things differently going. Alright, let's get started on listening to some books here. So if you want to go to that, you just go to War Spoils here, and you go over to Lore, and that gets you to the access points here. So I don't know if it really matters in terms of the order or not, so I did write down a little passage here so I remember, so I'll just kind of put it through order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the 14th one is the first one. I don't know why it's not in order. I'm guessing that probably means it doesn't matter if it's in numerical order or not, but then things like this, clearly there's an order for it, so I'm not sure what to make of that, so I'll just make sure we do it in the right order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright, Age of Myth. I'll stop talking and I'll just go through each of these and see what we have to hear.
Listen well, wandering warrior, and hear the tale of the Lady of the Leaves, and this, her evergreen kingdom. Gairan, the realm of life. One of the 8 planes of reality that defies the mad gods. In the ages long past, it was seeded by the Lady of the Leaves, and her spirit still remains in every blossoming tree and swift-flowing stream. Strong and irrepressible is the power of her verdant life force. Hew down a forest and it might regrow overnight. Burn a meadow and it will be fresh and green in days. Such is the strength of Gairan's nature. Here, life will always endure. For so long, these lands flourished, growing strong and healthy beneath the tending hands of the Lady of the Leaves and her caring forest spirits. Tragically, however, such peace would not last. The gaze of one of the mad gods, the hateful Plague Father Nurgle, fell upon Gairan. Plague Father's disciples of disease assailed the woodlands and the meadows with all their savage might. Before them marched the invisible horror of demon-spawned pestilence and blight. The heartwoods rotted, and those that resisted met rusted axe and pitted blade. None could stand before them, and the forests withered. In those most desperate of days, everywhere the servants of the mad gods were triumphant. The tree walkers and grove tenders could do nothing. For how does a mortal being, even an ancient one of root and bark, make war on disease itself? In those dark times, the Plague Father's unholy spawn ran rampant. Foul rotblight brought down the spire of emerald dreams. Ancient Titan oaks turned to mulch, leaves turned black. The city of Franz was torched when it resisted the terrible pestilence. Even the noblest oak of ages became infected, transformed into the heartlands of a new empire of decay. A little longer and the forces of entropy may have won a final, lasting victory. But thanks be to every proud and deep-rooted spirit in Gairan, our end was not at hand. The bows had been bent, but they had not broken. Retribution was on its way. The Great War was almost lost. The noble mistress of Gairan herself, Our Lady of the Leaves, had been left with no choice but to take sanctuary from the legions of the mad gods deep within the Heartwoods. The blight hosts of the Plague Father were poised on the cusp of victory. But Gairan knows hardship, knows how to endure. Just as bitter winter will strip leaves and turn fields fallow, so spring and the kiss of summer will bring new, flourishing life. We had endured the great winter of this terrible invasion, and now our renewal was at hand. At long last, aid came to the beset spirits and peoples of Gairan. The golden armored champions of the lightning god, Sigmar the Great, struck in retribution, and the Plague Father's armies were sundered. With the hosts of the forest and the armies of Sigmar's Stormcast Eternals, the degenerate slaves to darkness were defeated. At the Blackstone Summit, at the Gates of Dawn, and at the Nevergreen Mountains. Gairan had been tested, but it had not been found wanting. According to the Forest Sagas, the greatest of all victories over the forces of entropy was won at the great realm gates known as the Genesis Gate. The forests there recall how the woodland spirits and the golden warriors of the lightning god stormed the defenses of the cursed spawn of chaos, destroying the diseased workings of the Plague Father. The ring of corruption was broken, and the Genesis Gate was sealed, cutting off Gairan from the Garden of Nurgle. In that moment, it seemed as though our final victory was at hand. But the work of the mad gods is never done. They will always find new adherents among the desperate and the foolhardy, and none more so than the Plague Father. Wherever a pestilence draws on for longer than is natural, whenever a seemingly healthy tree is found to have a rotten core, there is the work of Nurgle. We must always be on our guard against his foul designs, for Gairan is a prize too precious to be lost or tarnished. Since the forest spirits first fought back against accursed Nurgle, the Lady of Leaves and her sprites have sought to turn back the horrors of his contagions. They lead the resistance from the Jade Kingdoms, the heartlands of Gairan's evergreen stronghold. Such places are to be found across Gairan, from the vast Titan Oak you now visit to the Shimmer Tarn of the Greenglades and the living city of Iron Oak in Thyrea. These sacred places are often tended not only by the woodland creatures, but by the mortal beings who still live in this realm, who have embraced the healing nature of Gairan. With them, there is hope for a shared future, one where all peoples might live in harmony with the realm that surrounds them. Hammerhall, the twin-tailed city, a bastion of hope and a forerunner of the harmony that might yet be found across all lands. It is a city unlike any other, for it stands betwixt two realms, Gairan and the firelands of Akshi. Here, in the realm of life, the city is part of the great forests. Amidst the golden leaf domes and bough boroughs lies the great storm rift realm gate. Pass through it, and you will find yourself in a second city within the realm of Akshi, the fire-scorched twin of the first. Noble Sigmar's stormcasts control both sides of the storm rift. The broiling lava of Hammerhall Aksha is used to temper the exuberance of the ever-growing forests of Gairan, while the food and timber so abundant in Hammerhall Gaira is used to fuel Hammerhall Aksha. Who controls one, controls the other, and holds power in not one realm, but two. The living city, a wondrous enclave. To have come here, you must have crossed the Nevergreen Mountains, west of the twinned realm city of Hammerhall. You are fortunate indeed not to have been cursed with the vile mutations that are bestowed on so many who take those winding paths. The Plague Father's presence still taints parts of Gairan, but all of the mad gods have their insidious servants here, and it is in the Nevergreens that many twisted children of the Changer of Ways are to be found. Terrible Fluxcairns rally what they call the primordial truth, and drive back the protectors of the woodland kingdoms. Of course, the Plague Father has presence too, in the scabrous sprawl, that great waste of blotched trees and sentient mold that quests ever deeper into Gairan's heartwood. The living city, a wondrous enclave of life, of kinship and vitality in these times of strife and discord. The mortal peoples who put their trust in the Lady of the Leaves gather there, guarded by the Viridian Shield, the warrior champions of the woodland. Elves, Dwarden, humans and more, cleaving to the safety of the great Ironroot bulwarks, standing firm in the face of the darkling powers. Long have the demons of mad gods coveted the living city and its two brothers, Theonesium and the Grey Water Fastness. For without them, the brave defiance of the forest may still be overcome. The living city must be protected, for it is a symbol of hope and renewal precious to every being that will call Gairan home. Realmstone. You already know it as an object of great power, capable of being put to ends both noble and nefarious. It is said by some to be the matter of reality itself, to be made and unmade by the power of the gods. There is Realmstone in the Greywater Fastness, vast amounts deep beneath the iron bastions and great manufactories. Dwarden, humans and others have defied the green of Gairan's realm there in favor of their great industries. The sins of Greywater have drawn the ire of the forest, but still the city expands. A foretaste of Gairan's future or a momentary madness? Only time will tell. Many beings throughout the realms speak of the living city and the Greywater Fastness as the seeds of hope, but those places were not the first nor the greatest. That honor belongs to the Theonesium. The Amber City is home to the Phoenix Temple, the warrior cult that worships the noble god-beast known as the Phoenix. It is a haven for all mortals fleeing the invasions of the mad gods, but especially for elf-kind, who see in its grand spires and old libraries, its high shrines and carved colonnades, some replica of their long-lost glories. They seek to keep the amber pure from the corruption of the dark gods, to preserve the practices of their forebearers and their gods.
So by the process of elimination, this must be book 12. It's not labeled, but every other one has labels on it. So I assume this is book 12 just from the process of elimination.
Soaring above the amber city of Phoenicium is the Arboreal Mountain. You have seen the Great Grey Trunk, its branches so vast that the town of Oakhaven has been built upon it. Well, even Grey Trunk is a sapling next to its sire, the Arboreal Mountain. It is the High King of Oaks, perhaps the greatest in Gairan. Whole civilizations have sprung up and fallen away on its vast boughs in the ages since its seed first sprouted. It is a symbol of the realm of life itself. It must be ever guarded against the insidious work of the Dark Ones, its bark watched for demon grubs, and its vast leaves preserved from eater rot. Only with vigilance can those who tend the forest of Gairan, great and small, protect it from the invasive diseases of the Plague Father. The woodland kingdoms of Gairan are forever preserved by their natural guardians, a conclave of spirits, sprites, and strange creatures of sentient bark and bough. They are the Sylvaneth, the children of the Lady of the Leaves. Part of the forest themselves, they consider those who disrespect the groves anathema, and will strike down all who would take axe or pox to their kindred. Their verdant soul pods spread and take root wherever the Ever-Queen's power waxes. Dutifully, the Sylvaneth guard these groves and forests, uprooting the rank corruption that the Plague Father seeks to spread, slaying his diseased, cursed devotees and driving them out. They are haughty and sometimes unknowable creatures, and you would do well to show nothing but respect when walking abroad in their realm. None are closer to the spirit of Gairan, and none protect her as zealously. Though it is said that the forests themselves answer to the Lady of the Leaves, some among her faithful there are also those of flesh and blood, rather than soul sap and bark. Their ranks include the Order of the Furrow, a knightly host of mortals, many of them human. The champions of this warrior enclave are bound to guard the woodlands of Gairan and free people who dwell in them. They bear arms and armor wrought from ironwood and enter battle riding great woodland beasts. Their haven is the Gairewood March, a forest fortress from which they sally out to halt the infestations of chaos. Many a battle has turned on their deeds of valor, and many within Gairan owe them their life and freedom. The trees tell me so, and they do not forget the deeds that spared them from the horrors of axe and fire. Of all the terrible beings to have sought to tear down the majesty of Gairan, none are as foul as the entity known as the Plague Father, Nurgle. He is one of the four mad gods of chaos, the masters of a pantheon of darkness that includes many lesser deities of evil. Morgor of the Fluxwood, Vargan, Prince of the Apocalypse, and others I will not mention here. But the four are their high kings, and it is by their schemes that uncounted desperate souls strive to lay the mortal realms low. Craving what he knows he cannot have, he is a cruel manipulator, twisting the prayers for salvation from the famished, of the wasted, of the blighted, worsening their condition 1,000-fold, while his fevers convince them they are cured. He will not stop his diabolic plague crusades until he has seeded every tree in Gairan with rot and turned every fine pasture and rich field into a festering sump. Plaguefather has his immediate servants, the demon spawn, tenders of his vile garden of plagues in the maddening realm of chaos. They are demented, leering things, from the squirming, feculent nurglings to the droning cyclopean plague bearers and the vast great unclean ones. Each seeks to spread a cycle of corruption in a foul parody of the circle of life that typifies Gairan. If you ever hear a Taliban of plague bearers approach, pray to great Sigmar and our noble Everqueen, for only their divine and righteous intervention can cast such evil back into the hellscape from whence they came. The Plaguefather utilizes more than just his foul demonic spawn. Each of the mad gods have their own mortal servants as well as demonic. Humans, Dwarden, elves, and others, men and women just like you and I, turn from honest and natural paths by all many of sins and vices. The Rotbringers are such, the misguided mortal adherents to the Plaguefather's teachings. Any who beg for relief from Nurgle and receive his poxmarks are welcome in their ranks. With pitted blade and rusting armor, they carry their taint throughout the realms, crushing all who will not be enslaved by the darkness they worship. They will not stop until Gairan and every mortal realm is twisted by the cycle of corruption. Not every slave to the Four is mortal or demon. There are others, creatures that consider themselves the true children of chaos, the most favored of all. They are the Beastmen, and even among those who forever assail Gairan, they are considered an implacable curse. How they came about, no sane being knows. Their ways are savage and tribal, for none who are natural born possess a spirit as close to what the mad prophets call the primordial truth. None with so intuitive an understanding of the Four. They are spawned as the cruel antithesis of the spirits of the evergreen forests, guardians of fluckcairns and cursed groves, powerful in limb and sinew, coarse in voice, sharp of horn. They spread the creed of chaos throughout the forests of the mortal realms, striking in ambush at the call of the Brayhorn, slaughtering all in savage sacrifices to their dark gods. Pray, if you trespass on the forbidden, darkling paths of the Deepwoods, that it is the Silverneth sprites who take you, and not the Gore herds, for at least with the former, your end will be quick and clean. Legend speaks of a beast deep within the evergreen, a creature born of the heartwood wherein our Everqueen, the Lady of the Leaves, resides. What its true name is, we mortals are not permitted to know, but we call it the Great Stag. Perhaps it is an avatar of the Lady of the Leaves, or a personification of her forests. Maybe it is one of the great and terrible zodiacal god beasts. Regardless of its nature, it is vast, spanning above all but the most ancient of Gairan's groves. Its antlers are said to be able to topple citadels, and its lowing rouses whole forests to war. It is said to roam the glade of summoning by the shimmerfall of Glorifus. It is the spirit of the woodland, as noble as it is untamable. While the great stag roams these lands and protects the Jade Kingdoms, Gairan will always endure. The star Gargant, the world titan, Behemat. Few were the god beasts capable of matching him in either wrath or strength. A being of Gairan, he slumbered for many an age, not knowing of the great wars that raged even across his mountain form. The terrible champion of the mad gods, Archaon, devised a plot to bind the god beast to the service of the Four. The cursed servant of the Plague Father, Blobe Rotspawned, was tasked with tainting the Titan with an infestation of demon flies, while the plague-worshipping Gorkin herds bound his neck with a vast talk of corruption. Retribution struck before Archaon's demented schemes could be completed. The Stormcast Eternals, sent by noble Sigmar, struck Rotspawn and his hordes, awakening Behemat in the battle that followed. Driven mad by the carnage he discovered, the Titan might have broken Gairan itself in half, had not Sigmar's warriors struck him down at the last.
Alright, well, I'll have to jump around a little bit here. I've got most of them under one of the things, but for the Vision of Nurgle, it's the Age of Myth is the first one. But that was all the things for the Jade Saga. Age of Sigmar? Nope. Age of Myth, here we go.
Yes, this offering is enough for now. You want to know of things that were and things that cannot be yet will be? I can see you are not a believer in the primordial truth. Not yet. Do not worry, little one. I'm here to open your eyes. I keep a seeing blade for just that purpose. Long ago, 3 ages past, the false lightning discovered 2 brothers, chained to the pinnacle of the Iron Mountains in this realm of Shaman. Dwarden they were both. Gods among their kind, ancestor beings of the world that was. The false lightning freed them, and in exchange, they each offered him a boon. The first swore to craft whatever the lightning wished. He built cunning devices and god forges for his golden warriors. The second proved the false lightning's cowardice and duplicity, for he was bound by a warrior's oath to hunt and slay the mother of salamanders, Valkatrix. And this he did, though in doing so, he met his end. For now.
The storm cast it.
After freeing the Dwarden gods, the flies tell of how mortals from across the realms flocked to Shaman. The flies of the grandfather were with them always, breeding and multiplying just like the greedy fools of the free cities. They see and hear much, and they impart it all to me, their prophet. Here in Shaman, more than anywhere, wealth exists to be found and forged, wrung and wrought, mountains of silver, oceans of bubbling molten copper, whole continents of iron root and ore shale. A man might pick up 2 handfuls of dirt and in them find enough raw wealth to last 10 lifetimes. What good is earthly wealth, though, if a man's soul remains unsanctified by the true gods? For all these riches, none were as precious to the short-sighted and the godless as Shamanite, the realm stone of Shaman. In the ages past, it was covetously sought by all, for its powers and properties were many. With such value, greed follows like a fat scheming shadow and unlocks the door to war and strife. The true gods themselves were pleased by this folly, for to unwork the base schemes of man is one of their greatest delights. And so, in the Age of Myth, blessed war consumed the realm of metal. You see the entrails of this silverfin? They speak in ever-changing patterns of blood of the Lode Griffin, that zodiacal god-beast who, by the will of great Tzeentch, forever altered the mercurial path of Shamon's destiny. An avian hunter, the size of a citadel. The Lode Griffin was driven from its roost and alighted in Shamon's heartlands, the Spiral Crux, drawn there by the great wealth of Shamanite, unearthed and collected by greedy, grubbing hands over the millennia. Its mere presence disrupted the magics of the realm, and the efforts of the foolish Dwarden who amassed to slay it. Their efforts proved in vain, for the beast was nigh impervious to mortal bolt and blade. In their desperation, the Dwarden turned to the Ethermancers, hoping their arcane arts might break the beast. 9 were gathered, 9 alchemical sorcerers, and together they transformed the god-beast into purest, solid gold. At the moment of victory, though, their triumph was undone. It is said that one of the Ethermancers was a secret servant of the great trickster Tzeentch, hallowed by his names. The sunder screech of the god-beast split the skies above the Spiral Crux, exposing the realm of Shamon to invasion by blessed demonkin. The age of chaos had reached the realm of metal, and with it the salvation of all, through the ever-changing will of that great architect. When the Lode Griffin tore open a portal between Shamon and the realm of the true gods, countless legions of the faithful and the changed mounted an invasion that would last an age. Holy war engulfed Shamon. It was fought in the skies, between Caradron sky fleets and winged avatars of Tzeentch. On the ground, by the pathetic mortal kingdoms and those blessed with the primordial truth. And beneath the earth, between the defenders of the Dwarden's mines and the innumerable ratkin of the Skaven. Here was a time of rejoicing. A time to make the heart of any gods-fearing being glad. For the false dawn of Shamon's industry and commerce was sundered. Now the forges and smithies wrought only blades and armor, engines of war and destruction. Everywhere, the champions of the 4 true gods pressed and harried those who would not accept the primordial truth. Victory seemed certain. For an age, we disciples of the true gods sought to free Shamon from the wickedness and greed of lesser beings and false deities. Finally, just as it seemed the primordial truth would become known to all, tragedy struck like a sudden storm. The armies of false lightning, the Stormcast, slammed from the etheric void, assailing the children of change. Of the titanic battles, desperate duels, and blessed fury that marked those times, the flies have too much for me to tell here. To speak only of the storming of Adrock, the relief of Barak Zon by the sky fleets, or the rampage of the children of the Varg alone would take me a century or more. Suffice to say that in this age, neither the warrior nor the Skuld was without work. When the false lightning first sent his stormcast chambers to Shamon, it was not only to spoil the grand schemes of the true gods. His armies sought something, a prize that had long been lost to him. The whispers of the demonkin claimed that he found that something in the subliminal fortress of the noble sorcerer Efrix. They will not tell me of how it came to rest there. But at some point, the 9 blessed Efrix had acquired the Godhammer. The weapon that the false lightning had first wielded when he denied, in vain, the reality of the primordial truth in the world that was. One of the most terrible war hosts ever assembled by the Stormcast sought to wrestle it from Efrix's eldritch citadel. The battle was long and hard, with whole chambers of storm-cast warriors banished back to their hellish realm in Azir by bold Efrix and his faithful demon allies. But eventually, finally, the accursed Warhammer was recaptured. Though it is once more in the grasp of the false lightning, it will make no difference in the end! It could not save the world that was in a past existence, and it will not save the mortal realms in the current! I know they call me mad. This does not trouble me. They think me mad, because I live in utter certainty. I know the primordial truth. I have seen the final victory. I tread the eightfold path, and I know its final destination. The flies have told me. During the Age of Chaos, that glorious time when the true gods ran rampant, all of the four sent their faithful to conquer Shimon. It was the great architect Tzeentch who first mounted the invasion, and remains to this day Shimon's most covetous deity. Tzeentch is the greatest changer of ways, a god whose foresight and wisdom is unmatched. In terms of deception, planning, and trickery, he is without equal. His faithful work to meet his ends across the mortal realms, turning the wheels of his grand plots, infiltrating the base and godless societies that would reject the Four. Tzeentch can be found everywhere, in every lie, in every deception. Pray to him. Pray to him. I urge you, and ask for the strength to see beyond the greatest lie of all, that the plans of the Chaos Gods can ever truly be halted.
An indomitable...
Besides the Shamanite, the greed of petty, godless mortals in this realm coalesces most desperately around the substance they call ether gold. It is not a precious stone to be grubbed for, though. Oh, no. It is found in the heavens themselves, amidst the great cloud banks that separate us from the etheric void between realms. The Dwarden, especially the sky fleets of the Caradron overlords, have long mastered its extraction and refinement. They use it not only as currency, but to raise up their cities, to power their engines and ensorcel their weapons. There are many other creatures and races which covet it too, from beasts like the Harkraken to the gods' blessed rat people known as the Skaven. An ether gold quest has led countless adventurers to their doom, and a few to riches untold. You wish for my advice? No earthly riches will avail you. Ether gold is fool's gold next to the true power of the gods. What is a Dwarden-made axe, a skyhook, or an Endrin next to the untrammeled power of demons and changelings?
The Stormcast...
The warped heart of Shimon is the spiral crux. In ages past, the short-sighted Dwardens sought to create an ordered realm of industry and science here. The true gods decreed otherwise. For the arrival of the zodiacal beast called the Lode Griffin changed and twisted earth and air, making a mockery of all the Dwardens' labors. Even greater deeds were to come, as the Lode Griffin's transmutation into solid gold pierced the veil of reality and allowed the demonkin of Great Tzeentch to invade. Their presence further bent and twisted the thousandfold islands, forming the great spiral of lands and continents that exists to this day. Some remain strongholds of those who would dare stand against change, and some even know a degree of peace, continuing to forge and smelt or grow and trade as they have done for 1,000-fold generations. Regardless, their time runs short. When the final war comes, The Isles of the Spiral Crux will consume their inhabitants before they themselves drown in a sea of blood! It is inevitable, for I have seen it. The skyports hang in the heavens across Shaman and beyond, plying both trade and war, but always seeking profit in both. They are the floating cities of the Dwarden who call themselves the Caradron Overlords, maintained in the clouds by their hoarded ether gold and the trivial sciences of their engineers. Hubs of trade, skyports draw the wealthy, the greedy, and the desperate from all over the mortal realms. Their cliff docks and warehouses often hold wealth, indeed, but only a fool would dare haggle for it, let alone seek to take it by less honest means. All of their riches and their wealth and all of their war machines and axes will count for nothing when the second age of chaos dawns. Then, truly, the blind will be made to see, and those who see will be made blind. The hanging valleys are among the strangest sights in Shaman. Truly, the works of great Tzeentch are wondrous, for who else could have created such a marvel, untrammeled by the laws that bind reality? The valleys are a collection of islands and mountain ranges cast adrift in the ether, floating beneath the great orb known to the mortal peoples as the Alchemist's Moon. Many are the Skald's tales attached to this splintered fiefdom. Some say it is where the lightning god's Warhammer was found. Others that it was once the roosting place of the god-beast Lord Griffin, before it settled in the Spiral Crux. What is certain is that even for Shaman it bears great mineral wealth. For vast, shimmering cascades of molten quicksilvers pour down like great waterfalls from one floating range to the next. Such a substance has ever been favored by the architect of fate, as evidenced by the many blessed and wandering creatures and wise. Such a substance has ever been favored by the architect of fate, as evidenced by the many blessed and wandering creatures and wise demon kin who make their homes there. If you hope for the boon of mutation, seek such a place out, and offer up sacrifices becoming of the changer of ways. Golgeth is a powerful place, a jagged orb of rock, its surface tortured and lashed by magics. Within, it is said to lie a hidden realm known as the Undervault. There, time has no meaning, and reality is never quite as it seems. So pervasive are the weakling mortals that infest the realms, that even in this warp-blessed place, people once settled and farmed. Their community is long lost now. The flies of the grandfather have told me stories of how they once dared to summon our demon kin to do their bidding, only to be themselves enslaved. Such is the fate of all who would trick the trickster. Now, their former home on Golgeth, Mount Cronus, is locked in an eternal time loop, toppling and crumbling down even as it rises up once more out of the ever-changing earth. I pray to all of the four that I am able to gaze upon so great a monument to Tzeentch's power before my soul parts from my flesh. Many are the Skald stories about the mirror deserts of Droost. It is a vast corner of Shaman, a sea of metallic scales that rise and fall in great dune mountains. When the silver glow of the Alchemist's Moon falls upon its expanse, it glimmers with 1,000-fold reflections. And they say that what is seen is not always a simple mirror either. The desert's strange surface shows the future, the past, and more besides. The tribes of Droost are unworthy of a place so obviously touched by the true gods. They are little better than slaves, watched over and cowed by ancient fortresses first built to defy the Four, and now re-garrisoned by the armies of the false lightning. One day, I pray those citadels will be cast down, their walls rotted and drowned in blood, their defenders twisted into sights more pleasing to the powers they dare deny. May it come to be in this reality and the next.
An indomitable...
If you have a taste for false piety and lava ash, you should seek out the city-state of Vindicarum. It is located in the ancient bowl of the great volcanic mountain near to Sundersong. A fitting location for a place so filled with the lost and the damned. For a city of Shamon, Vindicarum is wealthy enough, but its main export is the false fervor of the so-called lightning god. Any son or daughter of that place will tell you that it has always been so. That their city was founded by the servants of the lightning as a place of worship for the thunderer. Of course, we should not be surprised that they lie, for their gods are lies incarnate. The truth is, once the city rose up in revolt against the cruel and brutal Stormcast who ruled over them. In vengeance, those so-called paladins of justice slaughtered fully 3/4 of the city's innocent inhabitants. The flies buzzed with delight on that day, as the enemies of the primordial truth proved their inhumanity and their barbarism while they openly slew one another. And since then, the city has lived under the curse of the lightning. But do not fear, for one day the armies of the true gods will liberate it. Then, and only then, will the people of Vindicarum understand real faith. The forged city of Grungni is one of the oldest continually inhabited places in Shamon. Thankfully, its current inhabitants were very different from the first. According to the dull sagas of the Dwarden, the city was founded by one of their ancestor gods, known as the Iron Karak. It is claimed that it was intended to be the seat of power and great capital of all Dwarden throughout the realms. Of course, there were others with different, better ambitions for the great mountain city. The Skaven. Ratmen who do the bidding of the true gods as faithful and loyal slaves soon found a home in its deepest, dankest mines. And from there, the infestation spread. Despite endless campaigns in the tunnels and excavation halls, the Dwarden were unable to purge those good, industrious vermin. Today, much of that ancient city is overrun. A stronghold now for the glorious Ratmen and all their blessed kin, and an indelible stain on the cheap honor of Dwarden everywhere.
An indomitable... The Stormcast...
To pass from one mortal realm to another, a traveler will need to first reach a realm gate. Those in Shamon. It might seem to you that the great Ferium Mountains are like many of the sky-scratching ranges that cover Shamon. Vast, dense peaks, rich in minerals and broiling with lava and great quakes. Its inhabitants are far from common, though, for by their unending industry, the armies of the true gods themselves march to war. Ferium is ruled by the Iron Golems, a powerful band of warriors and smiths that walk the eightfold path. They prize metalwork and weapon forging as highly as they do righteous blood and slaughter. I have seen their demon-infused smithies with my own eyes. And it is true that they never cease. forever producing the arms and armor required by the servants of the true gods. And our glorious liege lord, the foremost champion of the primordial truth known as the Three-Eyed King. The Onk's Fist is the deadhold at the heart of their dominion, built across an active volcano. The Scalds claim that a great and ancient drake, Axranthos the Sun Dragon, is bound and chained at the heart of the mountain, and its terrible blasts of fire and magma are used by the iron golems in their endless forgings. To pass from one mortal realm to another, a traveler will need to first reach a realm gate. Those in Shimon are as varied as the metals that lie within its earth. From the shifting, quicksilver bridges of the Silverway to the brilliant spheres of the Bright Tor, the Third Eye Realm Gate is set to burn like a smithy's furnace and resound with the striking of 1,000 unseen hammers, while the brutalist metalwork of the Ferrum Port can only be accessed by those bearing a third of their weight in iron. Whichever you choose to take, you had best pray the true gods guide your path, for not all are as they seem. The gods like to toy with mortals, such as you and I, as is their right, and some of the realm gates have long become a part of their games. They will snatch you away to infernal realms, or trap your body and soul, a feast for demons and weirdlings. Perhaps you could count that as a blessing, or perhaps not. Regardless, only an unshakable faith in the true gods will save you. Have you heard tell of the most greedy and insolent fools in all of Shimon? The clan fleets of the Caradron overlords? The flies have much to say on them. They are Dwarden, but not as you know them. They dwell not in mountain carracks and deep mines, but in ether-bound sky cities, leeching like parasites on the ether gold of the clouds and the trade it generates. The Caradrons are a piratical breed, forever hunting the heavens in their fleets of Endrin sky voyagers. Their first and last loyalty is to their code, which they devised during the Age of Chaos, when their own weakling gods fell or fled, and they had none but themselves to look to. Honor means nothing to them. If they had any, they would have bowed before the Four, when their kingdoms were first overturned and their kindred slaughtered. A Caradron's loyalty is to the code, which means he will think only of his crew and his profit. I am certain the true gods have special torments for being so greedy and stubborn. The flies have told me as much. Arguably the most misguided of all the Dwarden sects, the Fire Slayers worship a thing that is long dead and gone. The god found unchained by the false lightning during the Age of Myth. It is said that in slaying the great salamander Vulcadrix, this ancient Dwarden ancestor was shattered into countless shards of molten metal. The Fire Slayers seek to honor their broken god, going into battle without armor and setting about their enemies in an axe frenzy that would please great and bloody Khorne. Though many of their lodges make their home in the realm of fire, Akshi, you will be sure to find plenty too among the molten flows and unyielding ores of Shimon. It might seem, like the rest of their misguided race, that the Fire Slayers are driven only by their lust for gold and grudge settling. But this is a mistake. The flies whisper to me all they hear, imparting the ludicrous fantasies of their red-crested priests. They claim that if all of the shattered remains of their god, the fabled Urgold, can be reclaimed, then he might be remade. To that end, they seek out Urgold across the length and breadth of the mortal realms, hoarding it and even stamping it into their very skin. Of course, such a belief is as pathetic as it is laughable. Their ancestor was no god at all. And the sooner the lodges of the Fire Slayers realize they serve only the mighty blood god, the sooner they might enjoy his favor. Skulls for the Skull Throne! The Starsire, the dragon of deceit, Such are the tales unenlightened mortals seek to tell in order to give themselves hope. Dracothian, they claim, is a mighty god-beast even among the zodiacal creatures. It is said he first awoke the false lightning from his slumber and salvaged what remains of the world that was. With the lightning in particular, this Dracothian formed a friendship based on lies and madness. At the false lightning's side, it broke free the heathen god Gorka Morka and redoubled the light of the cursed star of Azir, so that the Stormcast might be reforged all the quicker. At the Mercurial Gate, one of Shamon's greatest realm gates, the beast did battle with its nemesis, the Silverworm Argentine, routing it in the midst of a great battle against the noble three-eyed king. Know that there is no truth to these myths. There is no savior god-beast. No point of hope for any mortal who dares defy the will of the true gods. There is only the primordial truth. Once all of the realms have accepted this, we shall finally be able to remake reality, to witness what unknowable splendor the Four have designed for each and every one of us. Praise be to the Eightfold Path. Praise be to Chaos, now and everlasting.
Alright, so that's the Mad Visions and the Jade, I forget what it was called, Jade something or another. We still have to go all the way through the Firesides and then the other Nurgle books. So I thought we were going to do this all in one episode, but I think it's probably been close to an hour, and if there's still 20 some books to go through, that could be another 40 minutes potentially. So I think I'm going to call it quits here for the day. I hope you're enjoying these lore videos. It is kind of filling in some blanks on the Age of Sigmar lore, since I really know nothing about it, so I'm able to put some pieces together, but a lot of it is actually over my head since I don't know a lot about it, so I'm wondering what's going to fill in with these different lore components or not. It's kind of interesting hearing the different perspectives. So thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please give my channel a like and subscribe. We're going to post more content for you. Have a great day.